Okay, ready? Ready? 3, 5, 7, 12. Hey there, I'm Adrianne Gunn, and I'm welcoming you in this fashion to the Enlightened Couch Potato Show. Here with my friend.
I'm Nicholas Rave.
Hey, guess what?
Chicken butt.
Yes, but also I finally started putting videos up on TikTok.
Oh my God.
I've been thinking about it for like a year, and it happened last night. Now, my debut video, last I checked, it had like 500 views. Whoa. I have like no followers. I have 2 followers, but my video had 611 right now. Yes, it is, because apparently on the TikTok place, you can utilize other people's audio. And the first thing I was inspired to do was to lip sync to this super famous donkey named Nelson, who I believe is in Vermont. And so there is an amazing video of me going, that kind of thing. You know, when inspiration shows, you gotta go with it.
Now I'm like, oh, so you're actually doing TikTok videos. Like, you're not just uploading things to TikTok, you're uploading the appropriate things to TikTok. You just like, there's things you can do that are how you play in there. And I've been watching a while. I also put up, video this morning about how I wasn't feeling all that much energy. My voice was scratchy. Wasn't really sure it was going to be a great day, but I know now that how my day begins has nothing to do with how it's going to go. So I made a video about that. Doing things, you know what you might enjoy should you choose to talk on the Tick place. Should I?
Should you? If you were to choose to do that, I think you would enjoy that there's a little like line that disappears as you hit 15 or 60 seconds. So it means that you can just be behaviorally flexible, taking in that amount of time with whatever language you're choosing. It's kind of fun. I like that. I don't know. Other people probably get stressed out by that. Like,
so I'm a very old man and I don't understand these TikTok-y things. It's a clock website. I don't get it. Seriously though, the gimmick is it's sort of like Vine, but a little longer.
No, I think what's going on in TikTok world is that there are a lot of people sharing human experience and sharing information. So there's a chunk of TikTok world that's about, I don't know, dancing. So there's a bunch of that. There's a bunch of different places you can be. Some of what's going on that's kind of cool is people with neurodiversity talking about their experiences. So people are learning about ADHD and autism spectrum stuff and all sorts of different, like, here's how I process information. And people are like sharing.
Structurally, the videos are 1 minute or less.
Yeah. So there's a 15-second one that's kind of standard, and there's a 1 minute that's
15,
standard.
Okay.
And then there's this way that you can borrow someone else's audio from their thing, and you can either do a side-by-side duet of their video, or you can sort of lip sync over it. And there are people who use the duet feature where they're like, tell me how you such and such. So it's sort of interactive.
Right.
And
the back and forth. I've seen that. Yeah.
It's kind of fun. I found it a little intimidating actually initially, because there are a lot of people who are doing really, really fun edits that I'm
intimidated by all social media. So that doesn't feel different with TikTok, but I'm sort of in my mind, I'm trying to differentiate it between Instagram, because doesn't Instagram have 1 minute time limit too?
Yes. And currently I think, and there may have been recent switches, but I think what's compelling to a lot of people is that TikTok has a lot broader group of humans that you could be like, I don't think the algorithm's as grumpy as Facebook owned Instagram is now for being able to discover new content and new interesting things out there and trends. Well,
that's because it's owned by Chinese intelligence agencies, right?
Yeah, what's really strange is somebody was saying on there that the thing's owned by China, and so there's more freedom of speech as a US citizen using TikTok than on YouTube or like people are like, I could not share these things on Twitter or YouTube or Instagram. They would be flagged. It's like, that is fascinating.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's some newness in my world. What's your lately been like? Any new adventures?
I went kayaking yesterday.
You went to the outside, but also in water?
And
weird.
I forgot to put sunscreen on my legs, so my legs are sunburned from the shorts down. But it was fun. It's hard freaking work. Paddleboarding is hard work, but it's not as hard as kayaking. Like kayaking is just upper body, working those shoulder boulders.
Shoulder, also core?
No, that's the deal. Is with paddleboarding, I like it because when you're standing, you have to engage that core and get the twist.
Yeah.
But with the kayaking, like I could lean forward a little bit and start to get a little bit of twist. But maybe I'm just not. I mean, like I kept saying, I feel like there are tricks on how to do this, and I don't know any of them. like I'm getting everything wrong, and I'm muscling through this. And then by the time we were done, I'm like, my arms, oh my god, I can't drive, I can't move.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I had Muppet arms at the end. Yeah, just the ones that hang there and then they're like flop.
Oh my god. Well, good for you. I hear a lot
fun.
about the outside. People are into it. Also water. People think it's great. Was it pretty, was that pleasant?
I've gone paddleboarding in this location before, and it's the canals in Huntington Beach. And so you're just basically you're sailing by multi-million-dollar home after multi-million-dollar home, and it's fun. I love it. I like looking at the houses and being like, that one is ugly but amazing, and that one is gorgeous and I would totally never live in it, and that one is awesome, and like we're gonna buy that one.
I think I would like that. No, so in our area where people go kayaking and paddleboarding, there's like eagles and nature and stuff, but I super would love getting to do like peeking into houses.
Yeah
At the same time as like, I'm exercising, haha, instead of just being a peeping Tom. Oh, that sounds awesome.
And looking at the stupid names for boats that people have.
That sounds awesome.
It was really fun. I watched not much, but a couple of things.
Yeah, I know we watched stuff together that we're going to talk about in a second. I wanted to bring up, I wrote notes for myself. Okay. Just because you are a highly trained theatrical, like musical theater person.
That's a stretch, but okay.
Okay, I have this habit sometimes when I run out of stuff to watch that I will just go onto Amazon Prime and I will go down a rabbit hole of watching trailers of these suggested for you, like awful movies. And some of them are lesbian flicks. Because they're like, you'll like this. And I have this higher level of tolerance for shitty movies in that particular genre. So
you take what you can get.
I learned how to do this when I was like a teen. So I watched this musical that is the lesbian movie, I guess, but it's also a Jesus-y movie and also a musical.
What?
And it's okay, so I'm pretty sure that I couldn't right now write a musical that's this good. Like I couldn't write it, but if I had a team, I could probably come up with something. And like, how do musicals work? So I can't be like judgy about it. It's like they picked really interesting, like jazzy melodic lines, and they did the things you're supposed to do, but it was so bad that I found myself laughing hysterically all over the place unexpectedly, which was kind of Glee feeling. I stayed up too late watching this awful, and I kept forgetting that it was a musical. They would occasionally just have scenes, so it felt like a movie, and I'm like, yeah, it's a musical, and suddenly somebody's singing, and I'm like, and it would be like, yeah.
Wait, you have to explain Jesus-y lesbian musical. Like, what is that Venn
synopsis?
diagram?
It's cheesy. It's like lesbian. It's cheesy, Jesus-y lesbian politics, like United Statesian. Okay, so
is it anti-Jesus-y or what?
I think they like Jesus in this movie.
Okay.
So here's the synopsis. So there is a presidential campaign of this senator. The senator is running a presidential campaign, and he has a kerfuffle in a small town diner where he looks a fool. And the only place that he can host a rally is this small town church, where there is this young woman, she's like 24-ish, who sings this song about like liberty or something very political, beautiful song. And she's captured the audience, and the senator's team is like, she really has something. And he's a Republican senator, but he's usually quite moderate, and he gets attacked by somebody on the far right. And he looks like a fool. So they're like, what if we utilize this young woman, and her name is Liberty, as your surrogate to go out on the campaign trail for you? And so they hire her, and she goes out singing these American spirited songs. And her handler, I'd say, is the other campaign manager, this woman. And they apparently fall in love, although we don't ever. Straight up, I do not remember her name. I saw this last night.
Can we pretend that her name is Justice?
Let's do it. Justice. Okay. And she, gosh darn it, wears leather.
Of course she does.
So she's super edgy. Both women are very, very feminine presenting, and they're both sopranos, which I musically would not have chosen.
Right. No. Justice, leather. She should have been an alto.
Right. Well, she's not. The woman they cast is not as edgy as maybe they were wanting her to be. It was hilarious. There's a line where she's making fun. She's like trying to call out the woman she wants to date, and she's making fun of women with processed hair. And it's like, your hair is straight ironed right now.
But when you think bad movies that are like uncomfortably bad and then so uncomfortable that they're funny, and then you add musical on top of it,
yeah, brings it up a notch.
Wow, there's a level of awkward,
Nicholas.
That's just wow.
There's tap dancing. There's tap dancing, and at some point there's a scandal, and they try to convert her. So there's a conversion site, a musical conversions. Anyways, so there's like people like God, like Liberty. She likes God. She's the daughter of a preacher, minister, or whatever, this small town church. It was so bad. It was so good how bad it was. I just laughed at that. And so I just want to, in the interest of our themes here, you can get joy from really unexpected places if you're open to it. And sometimes even if you're not open to it, and it just keeps happening to you.
Yeah. There is a special kind of glee and delight that one can take from bad art. And it's very schadenfreude, it's being in a restaurant and someone else drops a plate of dishes, and there's a feeling that's like, oh, it wasn't me. I didn't do that. At least it wasn't me. At least I didn't make this terrible art. But at the same time, like, fucking movies are hard.
How amazing. Well, straight up, movies are hard. They're hard enough. But like writing a musical is also levels of hard.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, well done, team. You found money for that. You found people. You completed the damn thing. I have friends who are making movies, and they've been trying to get them done for years. Yeah. It's not easy. And I'm like, that was all right. Yay for you.
There's something to be said for the completion of something like that. And it's also like, if you're going to write well, you got to write badly for a long time. If you're going to create good art, you got to make bad art. And at the same time, like, I wonder if my I wonder if I have stifled my own capacity to create art and put things out there. When I say art, I mean just create anything, because I've spent so much time gleefully enjoying bad art. I honestly, I worry about it a little bit. I worry that there's a kind of and I don't mean to like take the mood down here, because I totally am. But like there's an easy cynicism to Mystery Science Theater or Red Letter Media Best of the Worst, or watching Cats. And I don't mind it so much when it's corporate bullshit. When you're looking at something that an algorithm wrote, or a bunch of bean counters wrote, I'm like, that I don't mind making fun of at all. Sometimes when you're just staring at something and you're like, how did this happen? Who did this? And there's like, and it's clearly like one person's passion project.
Yes.
Where you're like, oh, are you okay? What's wrong with you? And I feel like there's a part of me that's very afraid to put things out and then be that guy. Like, be the person that people are like, what is wrong with you? You think this is art? Like, did you think this was good? Did you put this out there like, I'm proud of this? And then you saw that other people are like, oh God, like that. There's an existential terror that I have around that. And I don't know if I've helped myself by enjoying shitty art as much as I have.
Yeah. I was fortunate that yesterday I started my day with a friend sending me this TikTok video of a person whose face I don't enjoy watching, but I love their content. I don't know why. Some people's faces, they're wonderful faces, but I don't seem to like them. So my body responds and I'm like, it's harder for me. That happens. So I watched it and the person was just said, like, don't be too precious about your ideas. Have your idea and get it out there as quickly as possible. And so for me to show up, it was kind of the theme of the day. The first inspiration I had watching a TikTok video was to make faces donkey sounds. I'm like, that's ridiculous. And I published it without thinking too much about it. I did 2 takes of that. No practice, 2 takes, no practice. And I have a ridiculous donkey video. And it reminds me of, so when I was a lesbian back in Vegas, I think I was 19 or 20.
Quite a statement, right there.
Well, some people are, and then they become different things. I am a bisexual person now.
Yeah.
That's a whole way different thing than lesbian.
Yeah.
Supremely different.
I appreciate that you clarified that you're not like, and then I went to Jesus camp and they cured me of my gayness. I didn't want that to be how people took it.
It's just different. I'd be a really bad representative of the lesbians because I really like penis. Yeah. So, and men attached to them even. So, bad rep of the whole lesbian brand. But the thing is, back when I was living in Vegas and I think I was just turned 20 and I was faking 23. No statute of limitations. I don't know. So I was faking 23 and my ex had told me that she was going to take me to this club. Weeks and weeks and weeks, flaking. And I was so pissed off. It was 6 weeks later. I'm like, I thought I was going to go to this dance club, whatever. So I just took myself, because Vegas has like 24-hour buses. I took myself on a fucking bus to this club. And then I got myself there and I was like, I was nervous. I've been wanting to dance for fucking 6 weeks and I've been let down and I got myself there on my own. I didn't even quite know how to get there, but I figured it out because this is before like phones and gadgets and you like open up a map in the yellow pages and you're like, I think that's where it is. And but anyway, back in the days. Also Vegas, everything's like 8 times further away than you think it is. You're like, oh, it's just right over there. 40 minutes later, you've walked and you're sweaty. So I get myself there. I'm so self-conscious and I've been wanting to dance. That's all I've been wanting to do. And I'm looking around. I'm like, this is dumb because there's not many people on the dance floor. It's not that full. No one's feeling it yet because it's like 10-ish. And I didn't know yet that Vegas doesn't start till midnight, but it's like 10:30. So I'm having a panic. I'm leaning on the mirror on the dance floor. And I was just like, okay, fuck, I've wanted this for weeks. Yeah, but and I said, "I'm fuck it. I want to dance, but I don't. I'm scared of what people will think I look like." And I was like, "Okay, cool." So some part of me was like, "You know what? You need to make an extreme ass out of yourself, and then anything you do after that will be totally chill, totally fine." So I pretended, and this may have come from the Muppets, or it may come from like something I used to do as a skit thing when I was little. I just pretended that some demon or entity was taking over my body and I didn't know what was happening. And so my leg would sort of reach out and span and I would trap it, try to stop it and make sure that no one saw. And then my arm would go crazy. Right. And so I do that till I get to the middle of the dance floor, dragging, convulsing or whatever. And then I pause. And then I just start dancing like a normal human. Now, all the while, like, I'm like, okay, I feel much better because I made an ass and anything I do from here is so different than looking like a fool because I've already done it. No stakes.
So the lesson here is make the worst movie possible first.
Probably
go out of your way to make something horrible so that you can let it go.
Well, the other thing that happened was that there was this woman, this group of women at the bar. They're like 10 to 20 years older than me. And they were looking at me. And once I started moving, they started laughing hysterically and I started dancing. And then after I danced for a song or so, I wandered over and just said hello. Because why not? Because I'm the freak that did the thing. And this woman whose name is Deb, she's just like, oh my God, I had no idea. Oh my God, I had no idea. I was like tapping my friends and saying, no, everyone. No, I really think there's something wrong with her. Shush, no. And and that woman became a really good friend of mine. And for reasons, I didn't have a TV right then. Just I was going without a TV. And she just decided to buy me one because it was that important to her. Again, related to our show. So if you make an ass of yourself and do the thing, you might make new friends. People might give you gifts. Unexpected awesomeness could come from just taking the chance and putting yourself out there, even if like make big choices, even if you look like an asshole.
I was listening to an interview on a YouTube show called Off Camera that I really like, sort of like Inside the Actor's Studio. And Michael Shannon was on there. Do you know who that is?
I think so, but it's not. Picture's not coming up in my head.
He was in a movie called Take Shelter. He's in another movie. Something Road. I can't remember. Anyway, he was the bad guy in this Henry Cavill Superman movie. Anyway, he's super good at bad guy. He's super scary and angry. And he said something about like, are you worried that sometimes, do you ever get in your head? Do you ever get to the place where you're just like, this is shit. This isn't going to work. And like, what I'm doing is garbage. I'm not feeling it. It's not working. He was like, you got to understand that anything you put on camera is going to be interesting from a certain perspective.
Yeah.
And somebody is going to hate it and somebody is going to absolutely love it. And at that point, you just kind of let go. And you just do it, whatever it is. And it made me think of another interview, Dustin Hoffman, who may be one of my all-time favorite actors, maybe my favorite actor. He was talking about two scenes, iconic scenes for him. One of them, I can't remember the movie, but there's a scene where he's having an argument with a woman, and then he like turns around and walks away from the camera, and he just yells "fuck" and then like hits the wall. And then also the scene where he almost gets hit by a car and is like, "I'm walking here." So both of those scenes were improvised,
right? And
neither of them were actually in character. Like in the scene when he almost gets hit by a cab, that was real.
Oh shit.
A cab almost hit him and he turned and was like, and it just happened to fit perfectly in that scene. And it is one of the most iconic lines. And it happened because that guy actually almost ran into him and was a real taxi driver in New York. And it like captured the essence of New York, and it captured the essence of this character. And then he just dusted off and kept going. The other, he said, was another very iconic moment that people are like, what were you thinking? And how did you get yourself into that space? And
Right.
he's like, what happened is I fucked up the line. And then I was mad and I turned around and I walked away from the camera and I was like, fuck. And I hit the wall and that's the shot they kept. The one when I screwed up the line and then got mad at myself about it. And he's like, and that worked perfectly for the movie.
Yeah.
So there's definitely something, especially about acting, like being the performer in something where it's about, yeah, you got to just let go.
That's amazing.
I just noticed in the subtitles that it actually bleeps out.
Fuck.
It does little asterisks.
I just want to see it.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll do
Shit, damn it, ass, fuck.
that. Just hanging around 20 seconds. Oh, wait, here we come. It says,
I'm waiting.
You're watching us look.
I want to see.
This is
Little asterisk. I just want to see it.
Yeah.
Come on.
So good.
Come on. Yay. Yeah, yay.
Oh my God, that's ridiculous. Okay, I only have one other thing to share.
Oh my God, we don't have a lot of time for
I know. I only have one other thing to share that isn't planned.
Okay.
Okay, so nothing I'm watching is all that brilliant. I'm just catching up with stuff. I'm still catching up on CW shows, the DC shows that aren't. I loved Arrow season 1 through 3. I love Legends of Tomorrow. It's not on yet. So like Flash, Supergirl, not my favorite. But this is a thing that showed up in the Supergirl episode that I forgot happened. And it's significant enough. So Supergirl has a sister, Alex, who was an agent in this DEO thing. And she's got weapons and she's got fighting style. She actually helped train Supergirl how to actually fight instead of just like, oh, I'm strong. Anywho, so Supergirl and Alex are also friends with John Jones, who's the Martian Manhunter, who might be canon. John Jones gives Alex this weapon. And I'm like, oh my God, this is fucking amazing. The weapon itself is a Martian weapon that I think it's like a bracelet or something, that what you do is you think the thing you need, and then you get any weapon or tool shows up in your hand. So it's literally the weapon and gift that she has to fight in the world is turning her thoughts into weapons or turning her thoughts into tools.
Yeah.
That's the whole story.
I've been doing this exercise a lot lately with clients called reverse worrying. And it's basically exercising the muscle of shifting your focus from what you don't want to what you want. Most people, when you ask them what they want, they can only think about what they don't want. They will tell you everything about what they don't want, and they don't even have a picture of what they want. Or if they do, it's like dim and out of focus and not well done when what they have for what they don't want is a freaking IMAX 3D incredible score and amazing special effects, $200 million budget for everything bad that could go wrong. And then what they want is like, it's an old like talkie picture. if it exists at all.
Sick drawings.
The thing I've been emphasizing with people is that retraining this pattern is a lot like meditation. That people think that when I'm supposed to be focused on my breath and then I get distracted, I am failing to meditate. Mm-hmm. But the shift that takes place when you get what meditation really is, mindfulness meditation anyway, is it is about getting distracted and then bringing yourself back.
Yes.
And it's that bringing yourself back that is like a repetition. It's like that's doing a push-up. You did a push-up, you got distracted and you brought yourself back. Good. Now get distracted again. Okay, now bring yourself back. It's the bringing yourself back that is the meditation.
Yeah.
The reverse worrying is training a weak muscle, and you actually have to have stuff that you're anxious about, that you're picturing going wrong in order to exercise that muscle. So every time you notice that you're focused on something you don't want, shifting your focus on what you do want, that is a repetition, and that's training yourself When I think about that bracelet and also the Green Lantern ring, which functions quite similarly, is like you have to think about what you want. If you think about what you don't want, it will make it happen.
Yeah, definitely. She had to train quite a lot to be able to master that tool to like produce whatever she was thinking in her head. And I just really like thinking of that as an exercise of like sitting down and practicing, being very, very clear about what I want to manifest and hold in my hand as a tool or a weapon or a, yeah,
it's awesome.
That was it. Those are my adventures.
You wanna do 15 minutes on a cute little movie from the 90s?
I do.
Okay. So you want to start?
Well, so I think we were talking about maybe 2 episodes ago, two talks ago. I was talking about how like checking in and listening to Brandy Carlisle sort of brought up some past memories, and I started feeling regret, or I also started feeling like, well, so in my life, there's just a couple very specific change points in my timeline where I absolutely would have been a vastly different human had I made another decision. So I presume, right, that one of those is Ashland Adrianne. There's a me that had potential of a full ride to Southern Oregon State to do video production. I was going to transfer from PSU to there. I was, like 19-ish. And I made a different decision to be in town and in a relationship, and things went vastly different in my path. And so I keep wondering sometimes, and there was a lot of years where it was like, poof, Ashland Adrianne is probably way ahead of me now. So I've been thinking about, like, it's a race. So yeah, in the last couple of weeks, I've been thinking about that. And I was like, what movies are those? There's like Sliding Doors. A friend told me like One Day with Anne, what's her McFace? Hatchaface Hathaway. But then I was like, oh yeah, there's Mr. Destiny.
Well, wait. Before we do Mr. Destiny, like there is a classic, the classic movie that as soon as I started watching am I stealing your thunder?
No, I've never actually seen that movie.
Oh, okay.
But I've just heard everybody talk about it.
When I was watching Mr. Destiny, I'm like, well, they just totally ripped off It's a Wonderful Life, didn't they?
Yeah.
So, I mean, fun, good, interesting take on it. And clearly a story that resonates with people. Can we talk about It's a Wonderful Life just really quick?
Sure.
So that movie was not a success, right? It was not a classic. Nobody watched that movie until I think it was around the 80s that it started getting play around Christmas time because it was basically in the public domain.
Yeah.
They could play it on cable on repeat. And it ended up being this movie that everybody watched around Christmas time and sort of was like forced down people's throats into a Christmas classic.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm not saying it's not a classic Christmas movie, but I'm saying it wasn't for many years after it was made until somebody was just like, what about this? Let's throw this on.
Yeah.
And then people started going, and then it became a tradition.
That follows the marketing rule of 7, which is now 9. Or maybe 13 at this point, where when people see something 7 times, whether they liked it or not before, they begin to feel more favorably about it.
Yep. Same. Yeah. I think that's exactly what happened with that movie. By the way, I'm not even saying it's a bad movie. Like, oh God, Clarence. It's got some classic Jimmy Stewart. I don't know why my Jimmy Stewart doesn't speak English.
I don't know. Mine's a mix.
I think it's because I don't know any lines from the movie. So
older Katharine Hepburn and Jimmy Stewart.
That's Jimmy Stewart going, oh, and then there's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Huzzah! All right.
So,
so this
Jim
is
Belushi.
Yeah. Plus, are the names Linda Hamilton,
nuts,
Renee Russo, John Lovitz. Who was else in there?
Courtney Cox.
Oh yeah,
as a freaking psycho murderer. Spoilers. Sorry.
So good. Yeah. So, gosh, the deal is this guy on his 35th birthday. Now, everybody looks. Okay, so here's the thing. I think it's a late 80s, early 90s movie, right? So the thing about the 80s and 90s is I have no idea how old those people are because they always look somewhere between 40 and 50 playing younger.
Yes.
And maybe they are, but also I actually think that people kind of looked older back then. I'm just not sure. Weird mustaches and beards.
You keep talking. I want to look it up.
Yeah. I get so on his 31st birthday, this Larry, I think is his name, because of course, why not Larry? That's just a standard name.
Yep,
back
Larry
then.
Burroughs.
Larry Burroughs is feeling a little down on himself and was pretty sure that if he'd only hit that ball back in that one epic championship game, his life would be completely different. And then, like you do on these kinds of days, you wander into an imaginary bar where Michael Caine is there to help all of your dreams come true. And so Michael Caine,
just as a quick aside,
yeah,
he was exactly 35.
Seriously?
Well, when the movie was released, so I guess he actually would have been younger than that when the movie was made. He was born in 1954 and the movie was released in 1990. My math is right? So 1954, 64, 74, 84, that's 30 plus 5.
Nice.
So he's 35.
Yeah. That's amazing. All right. Well, so Michael Caine serves up.
He looks 50.
He does.
You're right. Yeah, I would have been like, 35.
It's a really confusing era because people are younger and they look older. And then also high school students are being played by people in their 20s and sometimes 30s. It's just a weird era of movie time.
Breakfast Club was not too far off from this. And that was 30-year-olds playing high school students.
Except for Brian and Claire, they were both 14 and 15. So Molly Ringwald was actually a teenager at the time. And then David Michael, three names. Whatever the kid that plays the geeky Brian guy.
I can't remember.
Anywho, yeah. So, okay, so back to the movie. So Michael Caine gives this guy a beautiful potion that allows him to travel to his other reality. Of hitting the ball and living that life. And that's sort of the premise. He gets to see what that other life would be like. And we can do spoilers now. So if you want to watch it, it's actually quite fun and interesting. And you can drop into a state and have your own healing.
It's a very 90s movie. And if you're into that, it's like a warm old blanket. And at the same time, you're watching it if you're watching it through contemporary storytelling eyes, you will immediately notice an unbelievable amount of narration.
Yeah. Well, and also big 90s comedic takes of scenes.
Yes.
Oh, whoa, yeah.
Oh, they're right behind me, aren't they? Oh.
Totally. I also got to daydream back just anytime Rene Russo was on screen. I just kept going back to that scene in Lethal Weapon 3 where she and Mel Gibson are comparing scars.
I have not seen Lethal Weapon 3 in a very long time. I do recall that she was in it.
Yes. It is
Lethal Weapon the 3, the one with Jet Li in it? Or is that 4?
Yeah, that's a good
4.
That's a good. I'm not so great at remembering the villains so much.
Yeah, I don't remember. They blurred together a little bit. The second one I remember, first one I remember because it's Lethal Weapon. Second one I remember because it's Gary Busey. And he's fabulous.
That's awesome. Okay, one of the things that I think is interesting is it's an interesting choice to not. Like if you're going to go back, do a back in time or change the past and live a new life thing, choosing whether the person is going to be who they are currently, and then you just suddenly throw them into that other experience, or if you actually give them the embodied experience of experiencing their life differently.
Well, he was, by all accounts, an asshole.
Apparently.
Oh, you know what? Another movie that kind of does this same premise.
Yeah.
but in a very different way and a maybe more grounded way, less magical, is have you know Regarding Henry?
Oh, fuck! I love that movie.
Yeah,
God,
Harrison
that's
Ford
good.
gets not. This isn't spoilers. It all happens at the beginning of the movie. Harrison Ford is a high-powered attorney who's disconnected from his wife and his family, and he gets shot in the head and gets amnesia, and then kind of falls in love with his wife again as a different person,
Totally.
and was an asshole before, and then turns around and is like, I don't want to be that guy anymore. And I loved that movie, and that was a definitely more grounded movie than this one. But yeah, similar concept, that he decides he wants his old life.
Totally. Well, it's super interesting because I don't know that he actually, I think they just keep playing his shock on the situation, and they don't really give him he doesn't really drop in to actually experience that life, which is a fascinating thing.
And his arc is a little, I mean, it's definitely like a clunky character development for sure, because it doesn't really, there's no like realizing that he was an asshole that they show. He handles things differently, but they don't actually see him putting it together. And then just, I also say there's a tiny hint of A Christmas Carol.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That's another story that runs a similar pattern, which I never actually put together A Christmas Carol and It's a Wonderful Life being as similar. But one of my criticisms, as you sort of step back from A Christmas Carol, in a similar way to like Karate Kid, when you step back from the first Karate Kid and you're like, wait a minute, I think Ralph Macchio is an asshole and he's the bully here.
You're right.
You kind of step back from A Christmas Carol sometimes and are like, so what is the moral here? That like with this one, I think the moral of the story is a little bit of just accept whatever you have in life and don't try to make things better. And I get that there is half of it that's true, that there is a, like what you have is appreciate what you've got. There's something valuable to that, to be sure. But also there's something about like you and I have talked about the downside of everything happens for a reason.
Totally.
And there's a little bit of that, like this is a nuanced point and you're trying to paint this picture very black and white.
Totally. Well, and I don't think they did a great job in this movie. So there's the thing of like appreciating what you have. You get a different perspective and then you begin to appreciate what you have. And I think the bigger picture is that he was checked out, that he'd been living with this story, that this other life would have been better. Yeah. Meant that he wasn't showing up fully in the current life that he had. It's not just that he didn't appreciate what he had, but he wasn't actually fully in his life because he was split in the two places. Yeah. Does that make sense? So so
getting him to engage more and so I'm going to spoil. Well, maybe we'll do a deep dive on this one, but I already told you you're never going to watch this. I don't think you're going to watch this movie. And I recently rewatched a movie called The Babadook. And when you think about the symbolism of the monster in that movie, one way to interpret it is that the monster is what happens when we don't let go of the life we could have had or that we think we should have had. And that when we cling to that life, it can turn into, well, at what you're saying, in his case, it just turned into being checked out and like not being engaged with his life and fantasizing about what could have been. Totally. But it can go much darker than that. And if you want a movie example of that, the movie The Babadook is about what happens if you don't let go of the life you thought you should have had and embrace what you have.
So essentially the themes for right now for our today's show, friends, thanks for joining us, are just show up fully in your life as it's going on. Do not be afraid of making an ass of yourself. In fact, go ahead, make the biggest move that feels authentic and essential to you so that you can continue just dropping in as fully as possible. What else is in there?
I think gratitude.
Okay.
Gratitude is so overplayed and undersold. Like it's talked about a lot, but people don't really get how powerful just exercising, gratitude and reverse worrying are kind of similar, that it's you're exercising the ability to focus on what you have instead of the habitual tendency to go to what you don't have.
Truth. Well, and the other thing is if you do have an inkling or a feeling about a circumstance that you would like to be different, that you think exists in some parallel version of your life, go figure out how it feels to be a person who has that. Bring back those feelings to your right now and be very clear in your mind and fucking create that stuff.
Yeah.
Here with the people who love you here.
Yeah.
That you have access to. That's my thought.
I think the last one I'll say is the alternative reality concept is it's that is what your brain does. Your mind makes up stories about what, if I do this is what will happen. And it runs those stories out, but none of them are real.
Nope.
They're all made up, the good ones, the bad ones. So challenge the assumptions about these and particularly get good at letting go, because when we cling to one that we're like, but it should have been this way, there is something you're blocking your ability to embrace what could be with you and what you could have because you're clinging to what you felt like you should have had.
Totally. Yeah. And it may be untrue that like if you can imagine those things, it's inside you, and those are things that could happen.
Yeah.
That you have total power of if you're actually fully engaged in your life.
Okay. And on that note, it's 2:01. TV deeply, everybody. We'll text about what we're gonna do next time.
Good stuff. All right.
Okay. Later. Bye.